All right, Ryan Beck, welcome to the Line Within Us. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Oh, I am too, for sure. And before we get into the nuts and bolts of pray.com, give us a little unknown fact about you. Maybe something that people don't know that much about what gets you going outside of pray.com.
Okay. Well, I love running. One day I do have hopes and aspirations to take my endurance challenges beyond running, such as doing an Ironman or something. I have some friends that have done that. It sounds exciting, but I just can't get past, running. Bikes, not that fun. It's swimming, not that good at. My wife's great at. Her warm-ups are my full workout. So
Right.
running is my jam. One day I'll branch out from that. And so I'll run the trails. I did my first marathon some years back, and it was a marathon in the mountains in the Central Coast here in California. And I did it with a couple friends, and we we I think it was a full marathon, and we did about 6,000 feet of elevation gain, 5 to 6,000. So it was
Ooh.
quite the climb. And I finished, and it was a decent time. It wasn't like I was happy with it. And where was everybody? I was waiting for my friends, nothing. Well, it turns out I got first place in my age division and on my first marathon. And so I beat my friends, and I hold that over them now. Uh, there's one caveat though. So one caveat, got to have, with a little bit of pride, you need to humble yourself occasionally. And this
Right,
was, I feel
right.
like, God's way of humbling me a little bit. So I got first place in my age division, but it so happens that there was a local group of hikers who didn't like everyone running in the trail. So they removed all the markers, and, and,
Oh,
I,
no.
and everyone got lost. But I didn't, because I just kept asking the hikers. I'm like, hey, which way's the dock? That's where we were finishing. And so I just kept asking people, and I kept staying on the track, even though I couldn't see anybody. And it turns out most of the runners got lost, so I ended up getting first place. I like to think I would have got first place anyways, but who knows? Who knows?
Hey, that's a story. We're going to stick with that, man, all the way, 100%. Now, I
Yeah.
enjoy running too. So I'm always curious when I talk to runners. So do you listen to anything when you run, or do you just run in the quiet? Like, how are you doing that?
So running is very therapeutic for me, and also
Okay.
educational. It's also very spiritual for me, and so uh, I combine all those things in my run on different occasions. So, like I said, I like to run in the mountains. If I'm running on the streets, it tends to be more educational, slightly therapeutic, because it's got all the commotions and stuff. But I like to get out into the trails, and that's where I'll get to a midpoint or the top of the mountain, and I can just sit down. I usually take my phone so I can read some scripture. I can meditate, pray. It's a very kind of special time for me. And I
Hmm.
think that's why I like running over swimming or riding a bike, because I get to pause, and I get to enjoy nature, and also spend time reflecting the word and in prayer. So for me, it's I listen to stuff, not music, not a big music guy, but I'm listening to
Hmm.
some podcasts, a book, and then I get time to just pause and see the grandeur of creation when I'm at the top of the peaks. That's super exciting for me.
I love it, man. Absolutely love it. And that's a good tip for you runners out there, man. Don't forget to just enjoy that time in nature for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, let's kind of dig into it a little bit. I mean, give us some insight on what inspired you. I know you were a big part of the founding of pray.com to even get started down this path. I mean, give us a little bit of that story.
Yeah. So with pray.com, it was I would say, a journey of, on the outside coincidence, on the inside providence. And so what I mean by that is, for for all the founders, we have our unique story. There's four of us. We have a unique story of how God led us to found pray.com. And mine started when I was quite young. I was raised by a single mom, not religious. My dad was pretty much out of the picture. I'd see him like once a year, maybe. And my mom came from a pretty poor area in Southern California in South LA. And she wanted to give me a better opportunity. When I was about 5, she had the opportunity to move out to the suburbs, a place called Thousand Oaks, California, which is a very nice place in Southern California, much different than South LA. And we had this opportunity, great schools. And so she put me in a place where she could give me opportunities that she didn't have, even though she herself couldn't, give me a good financial stability, but she can give me opportunity to create something for myself. And so she worked really hard, struggled. My life was not a life of struggle by any means, because of my mom's struggle to make sure that I had whatever I needed. So when we were on food stamps or whatever, I didn't know. She was doing it. She tried to keep all that out of my mind. And she did a great job with that. When in middle school, so I was a good kid, you was, oh man, this is a good kid. But in middle school, what ended up happening is we lived in a low income area. And at that time, there wasn't really any after school care anymore for me and my friends in that area. And so pretty much all my friends, single families, single mom families. And what ends up happening? Well, we get to stay home now all by ourselves. Sounds like a great idea. A bunch of boys that are, in 7th and 8th grade, trying to figure out how to be men in this world. And you end up doing stupid things. And that's what we did. We got involved with drugs and gangs. And so that led to a pretty rough, like, high school time for me. And I ended up getting arrested at a high school for sales and transportation of narcotics. Right after high school. So I was 18. And so I spent my 19th birthday in jail. But at that point, God was still working. And in that time in jail, I wasn't frantic or scared. I thought I was on the right path. This was the path of many of my friends. And hey, I was going to be, I was going to be a little bit tougher. And I thought, that's good. And God had different plans. And he started putting people around me in jail that helped me look at life differently than I was looking at it. Rather than looking at jail as something where I'm going to get tougher and it's a good thing, they helped me see the foolishness of it all. And someone said, "Hey, what are you doing? Come on. You got a good head on your shoulders. You got your life ahead of you. Do you want to be a big shot in the pen or a big shot on the golf course?" And I said, "Well, I don't like golf, but I get the point." And so I started reflecting on my life choices. And then other people were challenging me with scripture. "Hey, read this." I wasn't very religious. I wasn't anti-religious or anything. So I started reading scripture. I remember one night, after spending a lot of time in the Word, I prayed to God. I said, "God, if Jesus is the one I'm supposed to believe in, I'm supposed to believe in him, help me believe. I got a hard heart." Now, that's very Christian language. That's not something but those were my words at that time. And I woke up the next morning with just this profound confidence that Jesus was the one I was supposed to follow. And, I didn't have like a weird dream or anything like that. And it was just, I woke up with this confidence. And ever since then, I knew that Jesus was the one I was supposed to follow. And I got out a few weeks later, a couple weeks, I don't know the exact time, but I ended up getting out. And one of the things that happens after you get out, you go right back. Why? Because you go back to the same circumstances that got you there in the first place. Well, that was almost no different for me. I just didn't end up going back because God had different plans. And so I ended up hanging out with the same friends, but I knew that something had to change. And so I was looking for change. Well, my neighbor, who had seen all the things that I was doing, I think they even saw the police raid on my house. which was a pretty big deal. And they saw all the people that I was hanging out with and the type of person. And she was, my neighbor was about the same age as my mom at that time. And she had a stirring in her heart, what she described as the Holy Spirit, speaking to her and challenging her to reach out to me and just invite me to church. And that's what she did. And I ended up going to her church, Calvary Chapel, Thousand Oaks, with Pastor Rob McCoy. And I ended up going there, and I really loved it. And God would put other friends in my life that some of them were in the same circumstance as me and then came to Jesus. And we ended up going so I started going to these different churches. I was going to some like really Pentecostal churches. I was going to a kind of more evangelical, traditional evangelical in Calvary Chapel. And then a friend from high school, she invited me to her Catholic young adults group. And so I got to spend time with some Catholics that love Jesus. And so I just got this introduction to Christianity across the denominational lines. And it was really beautiful and really special. And that started to transform me. I started serving at the church, Calvary Chapel, and I got an opportunity to go to Calvary Chapel Bible College. I said, all right, sounds good, because I need to lay a new ethical foundation. I didn't really have a calling to be a pastor or a minister. I just knew that I needed to lay a foundation for myself that was different than the one that I had laid previously. And so that's what I did. Went there for a couple of years, served in the ministry for a couple of years after that. And just, I guess I was training to become a minister, although I didn't have like some of my friends at Bible college who were like, yes, I'm going to be a pastor. I didn't have that calling on my life, but I knew that I wanted to work in, just serve in the ministry after Bible college, pursue that, to see what doors would open up. Well, during that time, I found the ministry. I love it. I want to help it, but I'm not necessarily trying to make that my occupation. And so I went and I got a degree in computer science and philosophy. Philosophy is what I'll end up doing after, when I retire, but I need to pay the bills right now. So computer science was what I pursued. That opened up some wonderful doors for me as far as employment. When you have a felony on the record, especially when it involves the sales of narcotics, it's hard to get into schools. I couldn't get a job at Taco Bell, Starbucks, but I was able to help out at this nonprofit. So I got an internship while I was working or while I was studying to do computer software at a nonprofit called Mission India. Ended up getting a job out of college with them. Nonprofits, especially faith organizations, tend to look at somebody through different lenses and give people opportunities when others won't. And they did. And so that was a huge door that was opened for me. And so I got to serve there and do some pretty wonderful things, pretty standard things when it comes to software engineering. But the impact that the organization was having was so much beyond the software. They were helping women with literacy and business development skills in India and greater Asia area, helping children how to read and get educated, helping plant churches, raise up pastors. And so it was just very rewarding work. And during that time at Mission India, I was able to see how I can take some skills that I've developed that God had given me the ability to hone in and apply them to purpose-driven work. And so I just love that, taking these skills and creating something that brings meaning into people's lives. And so fast forward a little bit, I run into an old friend from junior high and high school, the CEO and one of my co-founders here at Pray.com, Steve Gattina. And we went to junior high and high school together. In high school, we went on different paths. In junior high, we were both athletic. I was like one of the fastest runners in junior high, and he was a big guy. And so he was basketball, football. And, but in high school, he went the All-American route. He played at USC under Pete Carroll, won a Rose Bowl. And yeah, he's like 6'5". He was like 310. He was a massive individual. I'm 5'7", 150,
Right.
But he went the All-American route. I went the America's Most Wanted. But then we came back and he had a tragedy in his life So when we connected, he was in this transitionary period where he just lost a dear friend of his unexpectedly. And he was looking to do something different. And he had the opportunity to get pray.com. And so we started talking about that and figuring out what we could do. Started talking with Mike, Matt, Steve, and myself, all the co-founders. And we knew that we needed to do something with this. We knew that it would require a lot from us and that this was something that God was giving us as an opportunity to create something very special in the world. And so we knew that what lacked on the internet was really a destination for the church, right? So there is no digital destination for faith. And so we know we needed to do something in regards to that. And that's what we set out to do. We started talking in 2016, launched our first alpha product in 2017. And kind of the rest is history. Now we're servicing over 14 million Christians around the world. We are helping them grow their faith every day with our morning, noon, and nightly prayers, as well as some incredible products such as James Earl Jones Reads the Bible, which was my first audio Bible. I got it on CD before it was on pray.com, but I got it on CD. And so we have James Earl Jones. You can get Darth Vader reading you the Bible. I think that's great. And so we got tons of other stuff there that just help people grow their faith. And then we have a community aspect where people can connect with friends and family and their local church to share prayers, keep up on prayer updates and things like that to help people through troubled times and times of need. So that's kind of my journey to pray.com in a nutshell.
Wow, man. What an incredible story. Hey, we're going to dig into a lot of this, guys. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Are you enjoying the weekly spiritual kickoff? If so, we are now offering a way to participate in our live daily spiritual kickoffs that happen Monday through Friday in our community. This is your chance to chat with me directly and other members of our community, to dive into scripture and to leave with practical ways to simplify and apply God's word to your daily walk. And here's the best part. You get all of this for just $5 a month. So for what most people pay for a breakfast meal, you can join us on this journey of spiritual growth and leadership, which will always lead you full. Our community is dedicated to supporting each other and pushing forward in our faith. Come join me in the Lion's Den and become the leader God intends you to be. Sign up now at thelionwithin.us and let's start this journey together. Remember, it's only $5 a month for this amazing opportunity. So visit thelionwithin.us so you don't miss out. So Ryan, this is incredible, man. What a journey. First of all, let's just go back real briefly to that time you said you were in prison. What struck me the most, when you were in prison, in jail, people were actually ministering to you there. And I never would have thought that's where you would have been, led to, hey, read these scriptures and things like that. Why you were in, that environment. Did that surprise you?
Yes. It wasn't expected, but knowing the variety of people there, I guess, and the people that I've interacted with, we tend to think that criminals are all the same, that there's no good, and especially in the jail. I mean, they are correctional facilities. That's what they're supposed to be, right? These correctional facilities. So they're unfortunately a lot of times they're not that. They just end up teaching you how to be a better criminal because you're surrounded by people. And that actually was my first experience when I went there. I was in a parolee tank, which is people that are in jail, but they previously were in prison and are going back to prison. And so that was my first experience there. Highly political. It's, you watch it in your TV show, pretty much run of the mill. That's just how it is. And so they kind of lay out the rules, and they, when I go in, I'm 18. They're thinking, all right, this is an 18-year-old. How do we help him be a better criminal? If they think that's like a worthy investment. I have a decent head on my shoulders, I like to think. And so they were like, all right, hey, these are the rules. And you got caught. We can help you how not to get caught. So when you get out, I can hook you up with the right people. Fortunately, I only spent 2 days in there, and then I got moved into a different quad or a different cell, which was for people who didn't have violent offenses. So mine wasn't a violent offense, and I had never been to prison, although this was my second time in jail. But I was able to go into what was called a working quad. So these are people who may be going to prison for life or whatever, or looking at a lot of time, but generally they're not violent crimes. And so they're in there, they're deemed, capable of actually doing work in the jail system. And they're not going to, do something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, they could, but risk is lower than the rest of the other population. So,
right.
And so I ended up getting with people who, I remember this guy, Junior, you can't make this stuff up, but Junior, he's a big Samoan dude, 6'6". He was like the Samoan Hulk Hogan. I mean, he was massive. But he was just like this gentle giant that no one messed with, because you could tell he would go from gentle giant to just giant. But he's a great guy. And, I ended up making friends with him, and, that turns out to be a really great friend to have, in a system like that.
Yes.
And he was actually I remember I was talking to him. I was like, oh yeah, I thought about getting a tattoo. He's like, what are you doing? You don't get tattoos. You're too nice. You don't do this. This isn't that's not you. You're a nice guy. And it made me reflect. He wasn't trying to be a jerk and be like, oh, you're a wimp or anything like that. He's just like, just be who you are, man. And I think that was when we're teenagers, we're trying to figure out who we're going to be and what we're going to be. And it really was like a time where there's just human beings in there, and they were just trying to do life, and they messed up along the way, because life is not easy, as we all know. And sometimes people get dealt really, really bad hands, and but there's still a lot of good in there. And so it didn't surprise me. It wasn't what I expected, but it didn't surprise me, because, you see that quite a bit. You would be surprised. It's more often than you think, but it's not as often as it needs to be.
Yeah. Well, it speaks to the power of God. I mean, he's sovereign in all situations, even inside the areas like that. Right. So, I mean, I just think it's a great reminder for us as always, as Christian men that are listening now, to just reach out and be that encouragement to someone. If you see him going on that wrong path, hey, don't just sit idly by. I mean, it sounds like that. What was his name?
Junior. It wasn't a nickname. That was just his name.
Junior. You always think of guys like that named Tiny or something like that, right? I mean, but Junior, I mean, it sounds like Junior. I mean, he was definitely just bold in his action, but it sounded like it made a huge impact on you. So, incredible stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, as we dig into this pray.com some more, though. First of all, how in the world did you guys get that URL? I mean, you don't go to GoDaddy and say, all right, I want pray.com. I'm pretty sure that thing was taken. So, I mean, just how'd you get that?
Well, we were able to have a connection that could help us acquire that domain. And we had to pay it was a hefty price. It was expensive, but it was fair.
Yeah.
And so we were able to get it. We knew that they weren't doing anything with it. It was just sitting there. And so we just had to basically make the claim like, hey, we can do something special with this. And we were able to. So here we are, 2023, and doing something special with it.
That's cool. And I want to talk about that, the evolution of it. So give us the first day. What did it feel like when you get published? I don't know if it was a WordPress site or whatever you guys were using, and you actually made it go live to where it's at now. What were those feelings on that day one?
So we were all working, and I remember there was a shooting at UCLA here. And we thought, you know what? Let's just make a website where people can come and just pray and kind of console each other. And so we just spun up a really basic website that, said, hey, pray for the people at UCLA. And that was the beginning of it. It was very simple. And a lot of people shared it. A lot of people left their prayers, and it was just it is a really special thing that, that we could bring people together during a tragedy, to help people find support during that time. So that's how it started. And then when we actually had time to build something a little more robust, that instance helped shape what it would end up being. The first iteration was very much like a social network, a private social network for faith organizations. And so, think of Facebook groups, but for the church. And so we did something like that and had a lot of success. People were coming in, praying, going to church by church, launching it. And we would end up getting most of the church on, and we were able to get them to share their prayers, pray for each other, give prayer updates, and even donate to the churches. During that process, we knew that there needed to be a little bit more speed in our growth. So we added our content. And so we ended up building out our own audio library, as well as partnering with some great audio partners. So Steve, he comes from the production industry in Hollywood. And so he has that experience. So we built out a catalog of some amazing audio content, Christian content, released that, and we were able to use that as a mechanism of growth to actually attract one of the largest Christian audiences now on the internet.
That is incredible. What an incredible story. So if somebody's not familiar with pray.com, when you land on the site right now, what do you do? What's the expectation? What's the user experience look like?
So you go to the website. We have a mobile app, iOS and Android. That's the best experience you're going to get on the mobile phone.
On the app.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you download the app, and you're going to go through. We're going to ask you some questions. We're going to help you get connected with your friends and family. But we're also going to help you get connected to the right content and even the right leaders on the platform that you would gravitate towards. And so we not only produce some amazing content, we work with some amazing leaders and pastors across the nation to help get them on pray.com and get them in front of our large audience. And so you can find people like Jack Graham, Beth Jones, Tony Evans. And so you can find some of these larger, more well-known pastors on our platform creating content specifically for pray.com. And so we help people grow their faith and cultivate community. Those are the two core things of our mission. Growing faith, that is how we see it, is primarily done through developing some sort of daily habit of prayer. So we want to make prayer a priority in your life. And so how we do that is we give you little moments of peace in the morning. We give you inspiration at noontime, and then we help you wind down with meditative prayers at night. And so we give you different length formats for that, anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. So if you just need something, think of our daily bread cards that a lot of people still have or used to have at the table, where it's just a verse and a slight devotional. So you can get something like that. Or if you had like the Charles Spurgeon morning and evening devotional, where it's a little more lengthy, or you have something even more developed, we have that for you. So we offer you different length for your personal growth in your faith. And so we want to help you grow spiritually. And we do that primarily through our content and the plans that we help you develop through that content. And then we help people connect through, you can send chats to your friends and family. So people that are in your contacts, you can form a group on pray.com, and you can communicate with them and share prayers and make it a little more intimate and specialized on our group chat. But then we also have a community feature where you can connect with your local church, or maybe it's not your local church, because we're in a transitioning age where people aren't just doing church locally anymore. And you can connect with people and share prayers, pray for them, give them updates and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to dig into that more with you, Ryan, as we go. Hey, we'll take a quick break, guys, and we'll come back. We're going to dig further into that community aspect. Are you ready to unlock your true potential? Introducing
30 Days to Unleash the Lion Within, a revolutionary series that will transform you into the leader God intends you to be. In just 30 days, you'll embark on a journey of self-discovery and growth. This free resource offers a series of messages, each packed with proven methods to simplify and apply God's word to your life. Inside this series, you'll find practical strategies to unleash your leadership potential. You need to learn how to harness the power of God's wisdom and apply it to your everyday decisions. Discover how to lead with integrity, inspire others, and make a lasting impact. But this just isn't another series. It's a transformative experience that will help you find your purpose, ignite your passion, and unleash the lion within. So visit thelionwithin.us/unleash to claim your free copy of this series. Don't wait any longer. Visit thelionwithin.us/unleash and become the leader God intends you to be.
So Ryan, man, it sounds like a phenomenal platform. The community piece has really got me intrigued. So what does that look like? I mean, how are these people connecting with each other? Or how are they? I mean, is it like a chat feature, or are they actually able to see each other? How does that work?
Yeah, so it is both a chat and it's also these kind of um, small groups, I guess you could say, or church groups. Some of them are quite large. And so you go into it and say you want to join your local church. And I'll use a church that's been on our platform from the very onset, Abundant Living Family Church in Rancho Cucamonga, California. So you go and you say, oh, my church is ALFC, Abundant Living Family Church. So you search for that. You go, yep, I want to join that. Hit the button to join. You go into the community, and then you can actually, it's just like it's a semi-private prayer wall. But we don't have basically anyone can join, but then the leaders can kick you out if you're abusing if you're, not using the community appropriately. And so you join and you get to share prayers, and people in that community can pray for you, and they can, share their prayers as well, and you can pray for them. And so really it's this community around prayer. It's not, if you want to go talk about, your opinions on some matter, go to Twitter. If you want to, share your vacation photos, you got Instagram for that. We are for community of prayer and faith. And so we really want it to be a healthy community where people get together to help each other through hard times, to inspire each other for great times. And we do that through prayer.
Okay. All right. It's starting to come together for me now. So, I mean, and as a CTO, how are things, what role do you play directly in evolving this technology? Because, I mean, technology is changing so fast, as I know that you're probably more aware of it than most of us. So what are you doing day to day to keep Pray.com moving forward in the future?
So, we're always looking at, part of my job is looking at, current trends and upcoming trends, staying on top of that, implementing best practices for how we develop software, whether it is just around processes for efficiency or processes when it comes in regards to building software correctly. So building it for scale, building it for safety and compliance, privacy and security, all those things. And then also looking at the trends that are coming up. So Web3 was a big thing. Okay, how do we think about that? AI is the big thing right now. How do we think about that? Does it play a part in our experience in the product? Does it play a part in our operations? Things like that. So I'm trying to look at it from the, how does it help us? How does it help the people at Pray become more efficient, to help serve our customers, to help them grow their faith and cultivate community? And then how does technology help our customers grow their faith and cultivate community? So it all comes down to, how can we help our customers achieve the mission that we want to set out for the platform, which is helping people grow their faith and cultivate community. And that's how we think about the technology around it and how we do our processes.
Well, and since you brought it up, I got to ask. So AI, I've started to play a lot more with AI with things on the back end for our show to help speed things up. And from it's really cool tools that are out there. Where do you see that playing in the future with Pray.com?
So right now, I look at it much like how you're looking at it. It's making you more efficient. You're able to do more with less. And so we're a small team. We've always been a small team. And that's been one of our strengths. We're lean, but we're very agile, very smart. We just have some amazing people from all around the world. I look at it like the story of Solomon. You know what? He brought in artisans from all over the world, but they were the best. Yeah. And he did it to build the temple of God. And so not comparing, Pray.com to the temple of God or anything, but that's kind of the philosophy of how we look at the talent that we want to attract at Pray.com. We want the very best, no matter where you're at, to come and help us build Pray.com. And so we've been very fortunate to be able to do that. And then, and so that's how I look at AI as far as helping those people do a lot more with less. And so we're a lean team, and they use it. We have something called Copilot that helps you write code faster. A lot of times, us engineers, we're writing code that we've written 100 times, and it's really nice because the AI has written it a lot more than 100 times because it's got the world as its database, and it knows exactly what it needs to be done. So something that took us 5 minutes because we had to type it out takes us 5 seconds because we just go, yep, that looks good. So that efficiency really helps. And then we'll look at ways, and we currently are, of how we can make the leader's job easier. So I think there's some ways in which we could help the church. Think about this. This is something that I think about. Okay. The local church has thrived on volunteers, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's safe to say the trend is showing that the local church is becoming more of a hybrid church. There's a local component, but there's also a digital component. And with that digital component comes less volunteers. It's a lot easier if someone's going to your local church, visiting your service, once a week, to become a member and also volunteer on a regular basis. With a digital church, it's a little harder to capture those volunteers. And so you have to do more with less. And I think that's where AI can help the digital church. They can help them do more with less because they're going to get less volunteers in the digital space than they'll get on the local space generally. And so that's where I think AI can help. It can be a support for the church to help do their mission. And rather than, so I think that's a good way to frame it. Now, as we look at how can we implement products and features, we want to be very, very mindful of how we implement those. But I think that it could be very powerful on ways in which we could introduce products that feel authentic for the user, more personalized for the user because of AI, without taking away that element that helps them grow their faith and really connect with God and find that peace. So we want to protect that time that people have, and we want to make it as personal, as authentic, and as possible.
Yeah, love it. I mean, I think you're all over it, and I think the more and more we look at technology like this and try to utilize it and grow, it's going to help us. If we use it the right way. Now, you've mentioned a couple of times the size of your organization at Pray.com. Well, give us an idea. How many people are in the organization?
Yeah, so we don't really talk about specifics. Being a private company, and as a startup, that can be people have different views. We're less than 50 people. Okay.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, to see the type of content that's out there, that's really amazing. And you've already talked about it a little bit. You touched on around data security. How does that play into? I mean, you have a lot of people sharing a lot of information. What are you guys doing to ensure that privacy and security of each user's data?
Yeah. So, transparency is key. So you want to make it, want to build into the UI as much as you possibly can, this kind of intuitiveness so people know what they're doing, so that it's clear. So that's something that we strive to do. make it clear that what people are doing, they know what they're doing. Talked about these communities. So you go into these local church communities, you got to be, you'll see a bunch of people on there. We give you a member list. Hey, here's all the members on there. And we give controls to leaders to remove people and things like that. So they can see hey, if I share something, I'm sharing it to all these people and anyone else that comes into the actual community. So try to build intuitive UI that helps inform people so that it's transparent. And then it comes to making sure, especially on the back end of the software piece, making sure that we're building according to best practices and industry standards when it comes to our software development practices. So making sure that we have the state of the art in cloud infrastructure, security, monitoring, and things like this. So we work with a bunch of different partners when it comes to just our cloud infrastructure and helping us make sure that it's secure as possible, and that we're doing not just the bare minimum, but industry best practices, and we're keeping up with the state of the art in that as well. And so we use state of the art partners that as they roll out new software, we're able to implement it, and also just run. You gotta do hygiene. So you have these processes in the background that help you with automating these things, but then you want to develop a hygiene. So you're doing things on a regular cadence, just like you would with brushing your teeth or doing those things that just keep you generally healthy. So you do audits, and you work with third parties to go and inspect things and run different scenarios to ensure that you have this the security infrastructure set up correctly. And so you got to. We come at it. We don't look at it as a friendly world in the internet space. We look at it as a hostile world, and there's people coming at you to take certain things from you. So
right. Well, it sounds like you guys definitely have a plan in place, and you're making a big impact and doing all the things you need to do to have that security as a forefront. And to kind of transition a little bit, I'm curious. So let's say you have users who they come to pray.com, they register. And I've had this come up within our community at the Line Within Us too, where guys just want to dig into the topic around how do you pray? So do you have any like tools or resources that help people who don't even know how to get started with the idea of how to even start praying? What would they expect there?
That's a great question, Chris. Thank you. Because our first things that you get into are dailies. We call them the daily prayers, and there's 3 right now, but this format, like it just really works for people. It actually is a morning prayer, a noon prayer, and a nightly prayer. And so you go in and you pray with somebody. So someone will actually do a prayer, and you can pray with them. And so we figure that the best way to teach somebody is by performing it, having them do it with you, and then they can do it on their own, and then they can teach somebody. So I think what is it? You watch, you do, and you teach. Those are the 3 steps of learning something. And so that's what we do at pray.com. You can listen, and then you could participate, and then you can go and teach somebody how to pray. And so that's what we have, the morning, noon, and nightly prayers. And the morning prayer actually it's a prayer, 2-minute prayer, but then it transitions to a Bible reading. And so it's not just the morning prayer. We want you to start your day with prayer. And then we also want you to dive into the Word. And so you get to dive into the Word with Jack Graham out of Plano, Texas, Pastor Jack Graham, and he'll take you through the Bible.
That's pretty awesome. It gives them a really good launching pad to understand the importance of prayer, how to do it. Like you said, model. You have some models you can follow along with. So, that's pretty incredible that you guys have that journey laid out, because I know so many people struggle with that area.
Yeah. And the thing is, we want to teach people how to pray. We also want to help people create a habit of prayer. because that is what's powerful. We hear all this talk about meditation, how people are meditating in the morning. It's really helping with their mental health. Pray.com, our thing is prayer. We think prayer is beyond meditation. So it includes meditation, but it goes beyond it. So meditation a lot of times is this kind of emptying of self or self-reflection. And prayer has that, right? There's this self-reflection in prayer, but it's also an outward reflection on the glory of God. And so it takes you beyond yourself, helps you think about not just your internal state, but helps you think about someone else, God. But then you get to, generally in prayer, right? We go beyond just our personal self and our connection with God and the glory of God, but we then start praying for others. So we get to connect with others through prayer. Prayer is this very robust practice that we as Christians have been handed down from generation to generation. That is extremely powerful in having to help with, anecdotally, I can say that when my prayer life is healthy, my mental life is a lot healthier. And I know that there's mental health is a very complex situation, but I can say anecdotally that when my prayer life is healthy, my mental health is a lot healthier. And so it's because it has that kind of that 360 view of the world, not just with yourself, but with others and with God. And so you get to be other centric too.
I love it. Absolutely love it, Ryan. So guys, we're going to take our last break. We'll be right back.
We have a resource that allows you to test how strong of a Christian leader you are. We designed a short quiz so you can see for yourself how prepared you are for the battle. Don't worry, it's multiple choice and it's a lot of fun. So to access this free resource, visit thelionwithin.us/quiz. That's thelionwithin.us/quiz and see if you are ready to unleash the lion within.
So Ryan, you've mentioned a couple of times, I got to dig into this area around, you have leaders within prayer.com. And I'm thinking about the guys out there right now that are looking for spiritual mentors and people who can help them grow in their faith. How does pray.com, connect those users with those potential leaders that could help them grow?
So that's a great question. I'm going to give you a story. I'm actually going to give you two stories.
Okay.
One will set up the other. So the first story is we have this member testimonial that came in a couple of years back. It's from a cop. And this cop was going through a really tough time. And got off a shift from a long week, and this cop was going to kill himself. And he was planning on it. He had the plan out. He got a message about a sermon from a pastor on pray.com. And he decided, hey, I'm going to listen to this. And it was that sermon. It was actually Pastor Mesa out of Abundant Living Family Church in Rancho Cucamonga that was speaking on it. We have something called Sunday service. So we have guest speakers that come on and do a Sunday service. It was a Sunday service message. And he got this message and he opened up, he listened to it. And it helped him find purpose and meaning during that time to help him get through what was going to be a life-ending weekend. And instead, he got a life-giving message, and his help, it was all around how a leader, because that's what these pastors are doing. They're giving us messages of hope. That's what the gospel message is, right? To help us through these really desperate times that we go through sometimes. And we can get through them with these messages of hope. And these leaders are delivering it. And so we got to have Pastor Mesa on. He gave this wonderful message, and it touched this cop who serves our country, who serves our people, help him get through the weekend and just overcome this deep depression that he was in. And so that was one story, how a message from a pastor was able to really impact somebody. I'll tell you something, how people are going even further with that. They're hearing these messages, they're coming on, and they love our original content. We make some great Hollywood quality original content. And then they end up connecting with these leaders to get these sermons Sunday to Sunday, right? They go in and they listen to their pastor, but then they are able to connect to these other people that may be speaking to a different point in their life that's more specific to them. Because, right, we go to our local church, it's not necessarily, we don't get to pick. It's that one pastor that's going to speak, right? But when you have a wide variety, you can be like, oh, you know what, this person really helps on marriage and relationships, so I'm going to listen to this person. And so I was talking with this customer, and he was really diving into, he loves Tony Evans, and he loves Chip Ingram and Beth Jones. And so he bought all of Beth's books, The Basics with Beth, and he started connecting with Beth's content on pray.com, buying her books so he can read online to help him through his own life struggles. And so you get these people where they're able to discover new leaders with new messages, and they're not replacing their church. They're just augmenting it, like many of us do. Sunday to Sunday, they're augmenting their faith, they're supplementing it, and they're getting to connect with people who are more specific maybe to their need at that time. And they're able to, connect with them either on Pray, or they can go and they can connect with these leaders in their own ministries, because they all have websites and ministries. And we encourage them to connect with them through that medium as well.
Love it. I mean, that's literally what we do here at the Lion too, man. I mean, we're the supplement. I think you even said that word. We're not your church. We're not going to be a replacement for your local church, but we're a really good supplement, because a lot of guys are struggling with the areas of leadership. They need that support, and that's what we're doing. So, I mean, I love that. Thank you for sharing those two stories, and what a powerful one with that cop, man. That's a incredible testimony right there.
Yeah. So, thank you.
So the last question on pray.com, then I want to play a fun lightning round with you. But the last one on pray.com is, you're the CTO. You're always, at that C level, you're looking into the future. You're planning for developments, things like that as the software changes, and you're trying to engage with people. So where do you see pray.com going? Anything you can share with us, or upcoming features that are in beta right now that we'd love to just get some insight on? Where is it headed?
So I'll tackle the first thing, where we're going. So our vision has always been pretty non-tech, but we want to reach that vision with tech. So create a world where everyone leaves a legacy of helping others. So that shapes how we think about the future of pray.com. I told you our mission: grow faith, cultivate community. And so we frame all of our thoughts around that. And really, what we're building, there's a transformation happening in the church. The church is expanding outside the 4 physical walls of the church, and it's expanding into the digital landscape. And we're here to help churches transition. Much like when the Israelites went to battle with the Amalekites, right? So Moses had to hold the rod up, and Joseph was able to conquer the Amalekites. As soon as his arms got weary and the rod started dropping, they started losing the battle. But what happened? Aaron and Hur came up, and they helped hold up Moses' arms. Well, the digital landscape is overwhelming. It changes. I mean, AI's got new developments dropping like every day. And you're like, whoa, I just learned this, and now it's obsolete. That's digital. It is overwhelming. And the pastors and these leaders of these churches, they get overwhelmed. The arms, their shoulders, they get weary, and they start losing the battle. They start losing the fight. So at pray.com, where they're Aaron and Hur, we're here to hold up their arms, and we're going to help them navigate the digital landscape. We're going to take on some of that burden. We're going to help them move from just purely offline to offline and online, so that they can help reach the next generation for Jesus. And so that's how we look at it. That's the vision. We want to help these churches prepare for that, for what already is, as the pandemic exposed. It's a hybrid future. It's both local and it's both digital. And so we want to help them with that. And so some upcoming features. I'm not going to get into specifics, but I'll say that we have some things in the works that they're not final, but they're pretty close, and they're going to be with some really special leaders coming up in this space that I think is going to be truly impactful. So we're excited about that. In development, can't speak to specifics, but it's looking pretty good. And so stay tuned. You're gonna see drops all year long that are going to be pretty great, especially when it comes to the content. And so look out for that. It's going to be a lot in the area of this mental health is going to be an area of focus for us, really helping people with that. And then we got some stuff that is in the works for kids, so that the parents can, give their kids a biblical education on pray.com. So we're looking forward to that as well.
Man, so okay, it sounds like you're the chief revenue officer too, man. You're pretty good at sales there, Ryan. So I mean, you got everybody on the edge of their seats. So guys, go check out pray.com for sure. Hey, before we let you go, do you have time for a quick lightning round? We always like to do this with our guests.
Well, let's do it.
All right, cool. Quick fire questions I'm gonna throw at you. Some of them are fun, some of them are a little bit more deep, but I'd like to have this with all our guests. So first one, you can't answer running. What's your favorite hobby outside of running? Because we know that's going to be your favorite one if I just left it at that.
Favorite hobby outside of running. I'll say basketball. I love basketball.
You like hooping. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it kind of goes along with the running, right?
Go Lakers. Let's go.
I hear you, buddy. All right. So what's your favorite food?
Ooh, yeah, I'm a SoCal boy. It's Mexican food, and I have to say, enchiladas. You gotta get.
Okay. Got it, man. Love it. So now a little bit deeper. So your favorite thing when you sit down and think about God, what comes to mind? What's your favorite thing about him?
So it comes down to, we've been given two greatest commandments: love God, and love your neighbor as yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's that love aspect. And there's a book called Love Wins that has been truly impactful in how I think about leadership from a Christian standpoint. And so it's that aspect of God's love and how it can help us overcome all differences that we may have, how it can help us look beyond those differences and work together to solve some of the problems that people just go through. I mean, life, like I said, life can be tough. Some people have it great, but some people don't. And that's what Jesus was all about. How do we love our neighbor as ourselves?
Amen. Great answer. So let's flip it 180. What's your least favorite thing about Satan?
Least favorite thing about Satan. I think that I was listening to a podcast about AI, and from the godfather of AI who just left Google. And he said something interesting about AI is that it will be the master of master manipulators.
Yeah.
Like no other, if we do not put in like certain safeguards. And that's one thing that Satan is. He's a master manipulator, right? And so I think that that would be the thing that I hate.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way. He definitely is. He's very, very good at that. AI is going to complicate things even more. So what's something we always like to talk about this sometimes, it's good for our guys to hear, because they hear a lot of our guests and how they're crushing it in life. They're doing all these wonderful things and they don't ever think about, these are just guys too. So what's something that you're currently struggling with?
I would say creating a daily habit of reading, just reading scripture. And so it's something that I think that the pandemic kind of rocked in my life. I had like a very consistent. And so I think creating that daily habit back again. So making sure that it's every day, just spending time in the Word of God. And so, I pray, I have a company called pray.com. So I hear it all day. I'm listening to stuff, but that's different than just pausing and spending time. And to go along with that and I talked about that hike I went on with my wife before we started, is really like spending quality time with my wife. So like quality time with God and quality time with my wife. I want to spend, I have a tendency to work a lot. And so, really, really trying to find a balance with that so that I can spend more quality time with the people that are most important.
Love it. Love it. Last two real quick, we'll get through. So what do you spend too much time doing over the last year?
Probably work. So what I spent too much time doing.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say, probably. I mean, it's for good and bad, there's some goods in that, but yeah, I'd say that, and trying to bring a little more balance to it. It's hard when you truly believe in what you're doing, and like, I know the impact, the positive impact it has. It's easy to get wrapped up in that and then neglect other things. And so you gotta find balance. And I think that's the mission that I'm on, finding a appropriate balance.
You're preaching to the choir here, brother. I'm telling you, I feel that answer more than any of them, man. I'm with you 100%. Yeah. So
if I could just say, I know it's a lightning round, but I forget the book, but this gentleman, I was talking to him, he did an ultra marathon. I was like, how did you do that? I don't think my wife would be too happy with that. She would hate running if I did that because I'd be running all the time. And he's like, that was actually one thing that I thought about, that I wanted to do this, but I didn't want there to be resentment developed because I'd just be spending so much time away from the family. And so I said, if I'm going to do it, I had to create a plan, and it's actually going to have to impact the thing that I spend the most time on, which for him was work. And so he had to figure out how he had to change his work schedule, not his family schedule, to accommodate this goal that he wanted to do. And he was able to do it successfully. But he set up a plan like, all right, on Fridays, this is my long run, but it's going to start at like 2 to 5. And so I'm going to have to change my work schedule and things like that. And I thought that was really special because it just shows the wisdom that he took into how he thought about his family and his faith, and how he could, he wanted this personal goal. But hey, we have certain commitments that we've made, especially if you're married to your family, that's got to come first.
Amen. Intentionality right there, guys. You heard that story. That's it. So last one for the lightning round, Ryan. What's one thing that you hope the guys that are listening to our conversation today remember?
Love wins. So especially when it comes to leadership. And so I think that a lot of times as guys, we can think of emotions and as love as kind of these soft things, these feminine things that are not something necessarily we need to embrace. And I think that introducing more love into your workspace, into your life, could go a long way. I had a meeting I had a one-on-one with a teammate, and he said, I feel like you can be a little more harsher on me. And I feel like sometimes your face doesn't match the words, and there's maybe some frustration that you need to, you can express a little bit more with me. And I said, well, I appreciate that candidness. And, to be honest, I'm actually a little bit disappointed that my words don't match my face, not because my words are not being representative of what I want to communicate, but that my overall communication isn't aligned, and that you're thinking that I'm more frustrated than I am. And really what's happening is I'm trying to actually navigate how I want to be as a leader. I don't want to be a jerk. I want to be a nice guy. And I said, hey, look, I'm going to be transparent with you. I will fire you if you do not do your job. I have no problem with that. Then I will give you warnings, but we as guys, we mistake love and kindness and niceness as this softness where we're unable to do the hard things. And that's not what love is. Love does the hard things. It is the most courageous of things, especially in a world where we have a lot of hate. And love is doing the nice thing. Being nice usually requires more courage and more strength than actually being mean or a jerk. And so I told him, like, that's not the leader I want to be. I don't want to be a jerk. I don't want to be hard. I want to inspire people. I don't want to be Ted Lasso necessarily. But, I think we can all use a little more Ted Lasso,
Right. Love that answer, Ryan. Well, man, this has been incredible. So where do you want guys to go to connect with you? Obviously, then we're going to send them to pray.com, guys. There's going to be links to that in the show notes. But anywhere else, any other links or places that you like to point them to for resources?
Yeah, so you can go to pray.com for resources to connect with me. You can find me on pray.com. Or I'm not a big social media guy, but Strava, you can connect with me on Strava. That's my social media.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Share those workouts with them. That's it.
Yeah. Create accountability,
well, There you go. Look for accountability partner for your running. You just found it, guys. There you go.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Ryan, this has been incredible. Anything else you'd like to share with us today on the line with us?
Chris, you've given me a lot of opportunity to speak and share a lot. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It was an honor to have you here. So, guys, definitely check out the show notes for the links there. And, Ryan, man, you have a wonderful day, sir.
You too. Thanks, Chris.